Okay. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Saturday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, Advantage Rugby Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, Restored Motion, RestoredMotions.com, and ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. All right, y'all. Hope your weekend's off to a great start. I had a bit of a newsy day on Friday, and it was my last show of the year on AFR. So I'm off all next week. We'll be here for Morning Scone, of course, here for Morning Scone every day. But my last AFR of the year, and Mike Denbrock leaves for Notre Dame. And LSU lands four-star offensive line commit Cohen Eccles, which is really big get, man. This staff they have to be commended for the job they've done with the offensive line, man. My goodness, they were so bad at the beginning of last year, and the dramatic about face from what they were at the beginning of the year last year to what they are now, one of the best offensive lines in the country and recruiting at an incredible clip, is really impressive. But obviously the Denbrock news, excuse me, kind of carried the day. Mike Denbrock leaving LSU for Notre Dame, so now LSU is in the market for a new offensive coordinator. I shared a lot of thoughts on why Denbrock left, and I had a lot of conversations yesterday from a lot of different angles as well, to try to piece together what happened, why I made the decision, and what direction LSU may go next. So we can talk about all that today. So if you have questions, fire away. I'm happy to answer what I know or what I can say. But I think if you were listening to AFR on Friday, if you saw it on the YouTube video that we posted on AFR LSU channel. Bottom line is, this was an opportunity for Mike Denbrock to, Notre Dame came and offered him an opportunity to go closer to home. He's from Homer, Michigan. It's about an hour and a half from South Bend. So, it's like New Orleans to Lafayette. So he's closer to his family. He and Marcus Freeman got along great when they were coordinators together at Cincinnati. There are two coaches that were on Denbrock's offensive staff when he was at Cincinnati that are with Freeman at Notre Dame, so there's staff familiarity. He's had two different stints at Notre Dame before. This is now his third, so very familiar with Notre Dame, obviously. And then they came and, all of that circumstantially made the situation really good. And then Notre Dame came in, I'm told, and made an even better offer than A&M had. So when all of that came together, coupled with the fact that LSU hadn't really shown urgency in getting Denbrock's verbal agreement turned around, it left the door open for another suitor to come in, and it was the right one for Mike Denbrock. So Denbrock leaves. The question now is who LSU turns to. I just very casually threw out four names that you're likely going to hear considered. Joe Brady is one that people are going to mention. And he is among a lot of prominent LSU boosters with, internal decision makers. He's one that people are pushing for. The real question, there's two questions primarily. How much is LSU going to spend? And who's making the decision? Is this Brian Kelly's decision? Is this a Scott Woodward, Verge Osbury, internal type decision? And I think that remains to be seen. And the financial part of this, I think, is going to be significant because the more conversations I have about Matt House, and this might be the first time I've said this. That is a blower. Good job. Oh, you want to see Drew? Drew. Hey, Drew. Drew.
What color is the blower?
What color's the blower? Orange. Okay. Drew's looking out the window at a backpack blower. I don't know that I've said this before, but one of the reasons I think that Matt House hasn't been just outright fired is the buyout money. They couldn't get it. So like I said before, maybe there's a possibility of Matt House returning to the NFL. And if he were to leave on his own accord, then you wouldn't fire him and you wouldn't owe him buyout money. I think that's a possible scenario. I know I've said this a bunch, and I know a lot of people don't like me saying it, but I'm going to keep saying it because it's true. It's irrefutable. LSU is having trouble raising money. It was a really expensive couple of years with firing Ogeron, hiring Kelly, hiring Jay Johnson, now giving him a raise, hiring Kim Mulkey, now giving her a raise. And now NIL rolls around at a time where everyone is spending more and the market keeps going up. Like, you had to pay Matt McMahon and give him a 7-year contract. I know. Money is tight right now. It is hard. It's been hard. Anyway. Okay, let's say some good morning, see what y'all got. Wendell Norton, Brad David. Love how the NFL spreads the games out over Christmas weekend. Yeah, so like when the college football season ends and we start to get NFL games on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yes, I agree. Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Seth Ponville, Leon Williams, Robert Brantley, Bradlin, Anderson, Matt, if Notre Dame could offer everything and you said, if Notre Dame could offer everything you said outside of money, is there anything could have really done to retain him? Yes. If LSU had inked that deal already, if they had been eager in their pursuit and opportunity to keep him, yes, Mike Denbrock was very happy here. His family was happy here. Like, LSU gets in your blood, and people know that. I mean, you just had a Heisman winner, and you've invested a lot in 2 years. Yes, so absolutely. They could have kept him. And I don't think they would have had to match Notre Dame's offer, but the bottom line is you had a contract agreement with him after the A&M pursuit, and I'm telling you, like this, sometimes y'all know I tell you all the story without telling you. Like, this is one of those times where I'm telling you, like, I'm not guessing as to what happened here. I'm telling you what happened. It's LSU slow played the extension, and because it almost felt like promises not kept, and you had a bird in hand, which was all those things I just mentioned, more money, closer to home, all that stuff. And so he took the bird in hand. It's hard to blame him for it. Seth Ponville, Leon Williams, Robert Brantley. Oh, sorry, I read those. Blake Canfield, Dale Broussard, Cliff Kingsbury for OC. I don't even know where Cliff Kingsbury is, man. Is he back? Didn't he like go to Australia or something like that? Is he on staff like at SC? Did I make that up? Let's see, he's on staff at USC. Senior offensive analyst and quarterbacks coach at Southern Cal. I think it would be very hard to get, well, as an OC, you could get him for sure. But that would be interesting to see. Not entirely opposed. NFL background, good offensive mind. You already have a quarterbacks coach in Joe Sloan. So how does that play out. Denbrock coached tight ends, so does someone else take over the tight end room? I mean, that's something that needs to be considered. Denbrock was your tight ends coach, and you have recruited tight ends very well, and you maximize tight ends. So you have to get someone who knows tight ends. So, Brian Pinton, good morning. Can Drew see my daughter? Sure. Tell me her birthday, tell me her name, Brian, and I'll get Drew to sing. D. Nicholas. Kelly got an upgraded O-line, it seems. Yes. Evan. Cohen Eccles. Sorry. He's a big get, man. Top 200 player in the country, one of the top interior offensive linemen in the country. He's from Texas, and you beat out Texas A&M and Auburn and Texas Tech. Yes, that was a big get. The Stadlers, good morning. Joseph Fallsgraf, back in the booth for the Christmas. Feels good to be home. The boot, I guess. Yes. Phil G, Joe Sloan, OC, and hired Doug Nussmeier as quarterback's coach. I don't think that's going to happen. And the thing, and I'll also say, so I like Joe Sloan a lot, professionally and personally. I like Joe. If you were to promote Joe Sloan, it would feel a lot like the Jake Peets hire. In hiring a young rising staff member who hadn't called plays at this level yet, and that did not go well. Maybe this is the wrong point of view, but my point of view is when you're LSU, with the level of success that you've had, you don't take a risk on your coordinators. That's why Ogeron hiring Peets and Durante Jones was, to me, fundamentally absurd. I mean, you don't have to take that risk. I mean, that man was about to be fired and had to replace both of his coordinators, and he chose two people that hadn't been coordinators. I'm not suggesting Brian Kelly's about to be fired. I'm just saying you don't take the risk. You hire someone that is an established, proven offensive play caller at the Power 5 level. You're LSU. You don't have to take the risk. Ryan, Amanda Guidry, Bubba Smith, Sheldon, Mark Fleming, what's going on? And by the way, that's not to say that play callers that get their first shot don't succeed. I mean, Lincoln Riley is a great example of that. Was Lincoln Riley at Tulsa? Where was Lincoln Riley before Bob Stoops hired him? Was it Tulsa? Was that the guy that they hired at Texas? Lincoln Riley. Or was he East Coast? East Coast? East Coast? East Carolina. There it is. So he was at East Carolina. Who was that, Tulsa? Anyway. So, I mean, Lincoln Riley was at East Carolina as the OC. And then, boom, in 2015, he was 32 years old. Boom, Bob Stoops hired him. And that worked out pretty well. So, I'm not saying it can't happen or work. I'm just saying that's the outlier at a place like LSU. Let's see if Brother Missouri OC may be an option. Thoughts? I haven't heard that. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's been less than 24 hours. Ryan Amanda Guidry, I totally understand his choice. At this time, hoping for a DC change. Kelly Groves, good morning. Steve Scott, Matt, thanks for the recommendation the other day. Got my boss, the Old Elk Rye. He was on Cloud 9. Old Elk Rye, okay. I didn't recommend the rye, but I love rye whiskey, and Old Elk does really good stuff. Ryan Amanda Guidry, let's see, Craig Duke, Jimbo Fisher, bring the man back home. He's one of us, Jimbo Nussbus 2024. John Hendricks, Raid Abdelmajid, good morning. LSU bad job, head coach, AD change DC, new OC 2024, finished 6-6, fire head coach AD. Yeah, I don't think they're firing the head coach or the AD. And I don't think they're going 6-6 next year. Adam Penny, good morning. Joe Parker, Ryan Dixon. Ryan Woodward tends to be financially irresponsible. Look at A&M. I don't know that I would say financially irresponsible, Ryan. I think he is we've always described him as a like a a big game hunter, right? He goes after whales. That doesn't make you financially irresponsible. Like, was it financially irresponsible to give your women's basketball coach $2.5 million a year? Within 2 years, won you a national championship. It's not financially irresponsible. You won. It's only financially irresponsible if it doesn't work. And with respect to A&M, Ryan, I'll repeat this about the Fisher deal, that when they first signed Jimbo and everybody freaked about the 10-year, $75 million contract, I was one of the few in the world, literally, who said, that ain't no big deal, because by the time you get to the end of 10 years, $75 million, $7.5 million per year for the A&M coach is going to feel like a pittance. It's going to put him outside the top 20. Which, by the way, look at the way it's going, it would have. The problem was, after the COVID year, Ross Bjork extended him another $100 million or whatever it was, put him up to, nearly $10 million per year. And that's what bit him in the T. Heine. The buyout they paid was as much as the original contract. That wasn't Woodward. That was Ross Bjork. So you can't pin the Jimbo buyout on Woodward. That's on Ross Bjork. You could have extended Jimbo and renegotiated the terms of the buyout in the new deal. And instead, they were like, oh, you won 9 games in the stupid COVID year. Let's give you $100 million. Craig Duga, I'm in the BTAC pool for NFL Christmas Day game. Okay. First quarter handy, second George C. Stagg, third handy, fourth William Luderweller. Wow. Okay, how do I get in that, Craig? Tim Forche, good morning. At work in Miami. Hope you and your family have a Merry Christmas. John, one of the downsides of being the one big school in state, money just isn't there sometimes because there's no competition, at least what I see. It's not about that, John. It's not that there's no competition. It's that we live in a poor state. We live in a poor state that doesn't have deep-pocketed boosters, a deep roster of them. Jim Arsenault, good morning. Bet Santa has some big plans for Drew. I'm sure he does. Santa's always very good to Drew. Thank you. Corey Sharp. Matt, have you heard if LSU pursued a longtime college coach, tight end coach Tim Brewster, who's also an elite recruiter? I have not. I thought Tim Brewster just got a job. I thought Tim Brewster, just last week, got hired. Yeah, he just got hired at Charlotte. There it is. He was at Colorado and literally just got hired as the associate head coach and tight ends coach at Charlotte. I knew he'd just gotten a job. The thing about Brewster is I think Brewster's reputation as a coach isn't great, but as a recruiter, it is. I think he's just known as a great recruiter, maybe not a great coach, which is fine. I mean, you need recruiters on staff. Buddy K, good morning. Matt Sloan is my guy. Peter Adams, good morning. David Wallace. Where am I? Sorry. Austin Kidder, good morning. Since the focus of the show will be offense coordinator, what are you most looking forward to over the long Christmas weekend? I love Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Christmas Eve is great. We spend Christmas Eve with Erica's family, and we do dinner and presents and all that stuff over at my sister-in-law's house, Erica's sister's house, and their family. And then Christmas Day, we go to my cousin Steven's house and spend Christmas Day with my family. So I love those 2 days. It's just two days full of good time with family. So I love it. Glenn Garner, good morning. After stocking food for everyone around me, it's awesome to catch you live this morning after working. Hoping your family have the most blessed Christmas ever. Thank you, Glenn. Same to you and yours, man. Jerry G, good morning. Antron, good morning. Daniel Roof, good morning. More of a chance to hire an OC within the program or hire outside the program? Outside. The only person that they might elevate from within would be Joe Sloan. And I have no problem at all saying Joe Sloan wants that job and is and has been pushing for that job. And I don't blame him at all. And I think there are far worse hires that LSU could make. And if they hire Joe Sloan, I would understand. He has done a fantastic job recruiting. Brian Kelly has openly said he deserves a lot of credit for Jaden Daniels' development because Joe Sloan's in the room with quarterbacks every single day. I think that would establish consistency with Nussmeier. There's a lot of reasons to like the Joe Sloan hire. The giant glaring question and flashing lights is when you haven't called plays, do you cut your teeth at a place like LSU? And I have always been consistent on that, where you're LSU, you don't need to take the risk. You don't need to take the risk on a Jake Peets. LSU did. That did not go well. Do you do that again? Let's see. Glenn Garner, I have ND fans as friends that can't stand Brock. Glenn, listen, man, I genuinely don't care what your Notre Dame fan friends say. I don't mean to be rude, but I just don't care. Any fan base is going to have portions of it that don't like a certain coach. And if you say they can't stand Denbrock, then they don't know Mike Denbrock, because he is one of the best people I've ever had the pleasure to be around in the coaching profession. So whoever your Notre Dame fan friends are, by the way, my brother went to Notre Dame, has 2 degrees from Notre Dame. I lived there for a year. I would suggest I know a whole lot more people around Notre Dame that are really excited about the hire. So anyway, I just don't. I'm saying I totally believe what you're saying, Glenn. That you have friends that are Notre Dame fans that maybe don't like that. That's fine. I mean, you're never gonna have a consensus among fans. I just, Steve from Mishawaka not liking the hire just doesn't move me whatsoever. Anyway, Brett DeGrove, morning Scone. Got the smoker fired up this morning with a pork loin and half chickens. Need a bourbon suggestion for lunch with this. Okay, well, Brett, what are we deciding among? What are our choices? Do you have bourbons on the shelf, or are you going to like pick up a bottle or something? Dalton Barnett, D. Nicholas said Matt House needs to go either way. I'm telling you, man. For those who just joined us, I think it's the first time I've said this. I think money is a problem, and getting the money to buy out Matt House, I think has been a challenge. And so I kind of told you half the story before. Which was, don't be surprised. Everyone's like, what defensive staff? I say, staff changes. I said, don't be surprised if House finds his way back to the NFL. And I think that's what LSU is hoping, that Matt House leaves on his own accord and goes back to the NFL. That's what I think they are hoping happens. And if he doesn't get an NFL job, then he's probably back. Scott, I think there are plenty of OCs that can capitalize on Nussmeier's skill set. Scott, Nussmeier is also the kind of quarterback that gets a lot of OCs fired because he throws the ball to the wrong team a lot. State in 99, Matt, why did LSU not pursue someone like Malik Murphy, who showed he could compete and win at a high level, when the only thing Nuss has shown is he's elite at giving the ball to the other team? Money. I mean, you're kind of, I think, understanding a familiar theme here. LSU was not going to go spend what it would have taken in the transfer portal to get an elite high-level quarterback. they had to decide, do we go spend $1 million on Malik Murphy from Texas, by the way, for those that aren't familiar, or do we ride with Nuss? And for whatever it's worth, Malik Murphy, it's not like he has this long history of success as a starter. This was his freshman season, and he threw 71 passes for 477 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. So, what do you get? A project. A young guy without a lot of experience. With Nuss, you have a veteran guy without a lot of experience, who's been around, knows your players, knows your team, knows your culture, knows your coaches, knows your offense. That's why. Travis Brown, good morning. Chihuahua, good morning. James Avery, Rob Boudreaux. LSU would have really looked bad if you tell someone this is what I'm going to pay you, you'd not do the deal. He wanted to go to Indy. Rob, I don't know why some of you challenge me on this stuff. Like, you ask me questions, I give you answers, and then you contradict my answers with your declarative statements. Rob, you're acting as if you know something. And it's not just you, Rob. It's like, why are you here asking me questions? Like, do you think that all I do is just sit in a box in the studio by myself and just talk and give you opinions that are completely unfettered and uneducated? Like, what do you think I did all day yesterday? I spent the bulk of the day calling people around LSU, the Denbrocks, Notre Dame, everywhere, getting the answer. Well, I told you, you're not challenging. Yes, you are. I told you the answer, and you're challenging it. He just wanted to go to Notre Dame. No, it wasn't he just wanted to go to Notre Dame. I told you the darn story. Notre Dame had an open door because LSU left it open. And the fact that it was left open was perceived as a slight. Like, I was just a Broyles finalist, just had the number 1 offense in the country. Only when Texas A&M comes calling do I get an extension. And I'm telling you as well, it took to the 11th hour for LSU to come back to the table to counter Texas A&M. And they didn't even offer as much as Texas A&M did. It wasn't he just wanted to go to Notre Dame. LSU was casual. And Notre Dame came with a strong offer, closer to home, and made him feel appreciated. It wasn't he just wanted to go to Notre Dame. I don't know why you'll sit here and ask me questions. You ask me questions, I give you answers, and then you challenge the answers I give you. And it's not even challenging the answers. It's like, it's a declarative statement. Oh, he just wanted to go to Notre Dame. Like, Rob, you don't know. Rob, you don't know. I don't know you, Rob, but I'm telling you, you have no idea. I guarantee you, Rob Boudreaux, you did not spend a single day yesterday talking to a single LSU administrator, booster, staff member, anyone around the Notre Dame program, anyone around the Denbrocks. I guarantee you didn't spend a single minute yesterday having that conversation. I did all day yesterday. I'm telling you the story. But you know it. You know it. Why bother? What does Scone know? I'm not mad at you, Rob. I'm not mad at you, Rob. You're just the one that pushed the button because you were the most recent one. I'm not mad at you, Rob. But you're one of a million that have done the same thing. Up and down my timeline, up and down my Twitter feed, up and down my DMs. It's all everyone just knows. Oh, he just wanted to go there. Oh, he did. I just saw someone a bit ago, but he left to spite Kelly, which is the stupidest thing in the world. I don't know who it was. I'm sure I'll get to the comment eventually. I saw it scrolling there. Yeah, he's just leaving to spite Kelly. So stupid. Okay, of course, you know everything, guy. Who is the guy? Hang on, I'll find him on here somewhere. Timekeeper. It was definitely a move to Notre Dame made to spite Kelly. Stupid. So stupid. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go closer to home. I'm going to make more money, work with someone I respect, offensive coaches I respect. They made me a priority. I'm only doing this to spite Brian Kelly. And none of that matters. Just, I can leave and spite Brian Kelly. That's what I'm going to do. Then why the hell did he come here in the first place? You're right. He uprooted his family from Cincinnati and moved down here 2 years ago just to spite Brian. Just so 2 years later he could spite Brian Kelly. Brilliant. Brilliant explanation. Jesus. No, y'all know. Y'all know everything. Yeah, y'all know everything. Because someone on a message board told you. I read it on Twitter. I know a guy whose uncle used to play at LSU in the 80s, and he's real connected. And he tells me, yeah, sure. Yeah, Clifford Moore, Matt, you sounded like Nick Saban there. Whatever. I'm not mad at you, Rob. I promise it's not. I'm not mad at you, Rob. If you're still watching, I might have scared him away forever. I promise I'm not mad at you, Rob. But like, you'll come here for a reason. Thank you. I got a cousin on the inside. So stupid. I'll show you. Come to my house, I'll show you my call log from yesterday. We could compare notes if your cousin on the inside compares to the conversations I had yesterday. Dorks. Matt went full Clint Eastwood. Good, Rob. I'm glad. Thank you, Rob. I'm glad you didn't take it personally. Because it wasn't about you, Rob. It was just you were the one that lit the fuse. That's all. Josh Blackman. Yes, I'm here for this rant this morning. Go South. Look at that. It wasn't me to get you to rant today. Oh, man. Austin Kidder, Matt, I'm also undervalued by my employer. I wish Notre Dame would hire me. Anyway. I just don't, like, in a real reflective moment, like, how many times have y'all heard me talk about things that come to fruition? Like, I never want to be breaking news guy. Like, I never want to be the guy that goes on Twitter and puts in all caps, breaking, sources, like, I don't want to be that guy. But what I want to be is someone who has good information, which supports my opinions on things. Now, like, we can all make predictions on, like, who's going to win a game, and sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. Like, I've been right plenty, I've been wrong plenty, whatever. Like, but stuff like this, with what's going on, what's happening, like, I don't just casually and carelessly throw out information. I mean, I do a lot of work and have worked very hard over nearly 20 years to cultivate good relationships to get information. Like, that's how this job works. And how you handle sensitive information determines whether you continue to get sensitive information. Like, the stuff we keep talking about with the collective. You think I'm making that up? The stuff I just told you about House. Like, you think I'm making that up? I'm just throwing that against the wall? Okay, anyway. I don't know where I was in the comments. Someone asked for the HUDCO jingle, so let's play that. That'll be fun. Hey! Come here. Okay. How do you spell blower? 3, 6, 4, 1, 0, 0, 7. Okay. Hey, what do you say? What do you say to everybody? Wait, can you say good morning?
Good morning.
Good job. Okay. Oh, he's trying to go see the backpack blower out the window. That's what it's called. The yard guy there's a guy cutting the grass across the street, and he's got a blower. Drew loves backpack blowers. He watches YouTube videos of backpack blowers all the time. Okay. Michael Deneau, what's up? Let that show. Sam Dixon, hey Dad, good morning. Jason Duvall, I got a cousin on the inside that said Denbrock likes tomatoes in his gumbo, so he's leaving. All right. Let's see. Migo Tez, good morning. Cold Case, good morning. Gulf South, I know Brian Thomas had a great year and his projected first-round pick. Will he go down in LSU history like Chase Jets, Odell Beckham Landry? I feel like he only had 1 year and was in the shadow of neighbors. You know what, man? I think a part of that is, you know what he reminds me more of? Probably more of like the year, well, no, that doesn't make sense. I was going to say like Terrace Marshall in 19, who had a great year but was overshadowed by the other two. In this case, Brian Thomas was, was all SEC, got some All-America honors. I think a big part of it sometimes is how you do it the next level. There's certain. I think. Look, here's a great example. I think is Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter played 3 years at LSU. Everyone knew his ability, right? His physical ability, but it never really came together at LSU. Now he's an All-Pro in the NFL, and so we love to claim Danielle Hunter. Now Brian Thomas had an amazing year and led the country in receiving touchdowns. But sometimes it is just the 1 year. Look, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow just had one good year. It was a really good year on the friggin' Heisman Trophy. But it was one good year. Joe Burrow wasn't great in 2018. He was very pedestrian in 2018. That's one of the wildest stats to throw as like Joe Burrow went the entire month of October in 2018 without throwing a touchdown pass. It's crazy. Shana Mack, no, you're not a flavored whiskey guy. Have you tried or heard of Hard Hide Ponchatoula strawberry whiskey? I have not. Haven't heard of it or tried it. Chili, what's up? Adam Bear, good morning. What's it going to take for Mickey Loomis in the front office to make any kind of change to improve the Saints? I think if they lose out, if they lose to Tampa, lose to Atlanta, go 7-10, I think at that point. Pizza Boy the Jedi, Matt, who's our next OC likely to be? I don't know. See, I can also confidently tell you I don't know when I don't know because I haven't gotten answers. I made some calls yesterday, and I will tell you that Joe Brady is a popular name among boosters, board members, people who will bend the ear. But what I also don't know is who is making the hire. Is it Scott Woodward? Is it Brian Kelly to have full autonomy to do it? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Also, if it's Brian Kelly's offense, will he give whatever offensive coordinator full autonomy to run the offense? Or is it a collaborative thing where Kelly will have his fingerprints all over it? I think all that has to be considered, and I don't know the answer yet. It's been 24 hours. Weston Weaver, Scott, any chance Bryce Underwood walks after Denbrock leaving? Not because of Denbrock leaving. My understanding is that LSU has I don't have a dog in here. That's just Drew barking like a dog. That LSU has the NIL money in place for Underwood, and they're expecting to get him on January 6th, but that Alabama is making a strong push, and I would never count Nick Saban out. But if Underwood doesn't come here, it's not because Denbrock left. It's Nick did his Nick thing. Matt Lusta, a good tip on the Midwinter Night's Dram. Picked it up last night. It's delicious. I'm jealous. See if they have another one. Christian, Trivia Carter, Joey Metke, Aaron Hornsby, Cozy Cotters make defense great again. Who's to blame for Denbrock leaving the board? Woody both. It's not that cut and dried. Like, you don't just place the blame at someone's feet. There's a lot that goes into those decisions. Like, I think listen, Denbrock agreed to his extension on January 6th. On December the 6th. The board met December the 8th. I asked this question point blank, someone who would know, is it realistic to have turned that thing around in 48 hours? And I was told no. To get the contract done, lawyers, everything, I's dotted, T's crossed, no. But then again, that's also atypical. You typically hire a coach, the extension, whatever, and then it's rubber stamped by the board at the next board meeting, and then it's signed. That doesn't mean you can't put provisions in place or start a new payment structure, or like there are things that you can do to, in good faith, reward the person for that new deal, so they don't have to wait until the end of February or March for that thing to be enacted. You know what I mean? And that's the part I think LSU slow played. And so I also got the sense that maybe this has happened with Kelly before, which maybe made Denbrock consider it even more earnestly when the bird in hand was there. Like, Mike Denbrock wasn't looking for other jobs. The right job came, and the other thing I told you as well, if you missed it, is the same agent that represents Elko represents Marcus Freeman. And so that super agent just went through this negotiation with Denbrock's representation for A&M and is now doing it again for Notre Dame. Knew what A&M was offering, and so could sweeten the deal even more, along with the opportunity to go home and all that sort of stuff. So it's a lot of that. It's rarely just places the blame at one person's foot. Steve Blanchard, morning, Matt. 2024 going to be the year for Gamecoin. Absolutely, man. For all of crypto, the bull run is getting started, and I'm very, very excited about it. For all of crypto. As for Gamecoin, for those that missed it over the last few weeks, there were two very significant announcements. One was about the SEC, which is the Securities and Exchange Commission, which dug into everything with Gamecoin. David Mailer cooperated with literally everything and opened his personal books, everything, and the SEC told him, "You're good. Proceed." So, and I don't even know if I ever told y'all the whole backstory. I told you I would. I don't know that this is going to be interesting to everyone, so let me just do this in a broad sense as quickly as I can. So when Gamecoin launched, the smart contract was GME. And after several months, the decision was made to switch from GME to GMEX, a new smart contract. The reason was because the original smart contract had some holes in it, and they wanted a stronger one. And so that's why the move happened. It was just a far larger ordeal because it grew so rapidly. When they switched from GME to GMEX, there was a person that bought a lot of GME for a little because the liquidity had been pulled out of it. And this person tried to extort David Mailer for money, saying that he owed him the value of GME at the GMEX price. Basically, he bought something that was worthless for pennies on the dollar, like a defunct project for pennies on the dollar, and said he was owed the equivalent value of the existing project as it moved forward, which of the thousands of wallet holders, he's the only one that did it because he was trying to extort money. Of course, David said no, fought his legal action, and so this guy turned Gamecoin into the SEC, which set off a 1 and 9 month long investigation. Board members weren't allowed to say anything, which is why you haven't heard me say much over the last year plus. Ed Mailer cooperated with everything, flew to Miami with his attorneys, met with the SEC, opened up every single thing. A lot of things people don't even know. When part of the tokenomics with Gamecoin was making donations, that's part of the tokenomics to children's charities. Some people, some wallet holders were upset because they're like, "Oh, you're taking money, you're taking liquidity out of the project." Never mind, that was tokenomics, and it was when Mailer made those donations, he was not taking money out of Gamecoin's liquidity. He was making them out of his own bank account. He has literally self-funded everything. He is as good and ethical a dude as you would ever want to meet, which is why I am and have always been and will continue to be completely pumped up to stand beside him on this project, because I love the utility behind it. I think it's going to be awesome. And it would have been so easy at any point for him, amid all that, just to say, you know what, this ain't worth it. Dude made his money, has a big company, has a family. Like, why? What am I doing? He could have at any point said that, didn't. So we're launching this project. And so he's continued to move forward through 3 different developers who did not do what they said. It's continued to just climb that mountain. And recently announced the hiring of a COO. And there's another announcement that'll be coming soon. I have seen the latest tech that they've injected into the platform, which is unbelievable, and it's going to make it even more diverse than just digital trading assets. Yes, so this is a long way of saying, Steve Blanchard asked a question about Gamecoin. Yes, I am as bullish now on Gamecoin as I have ever been. And I'm very excited for 2024. Ryan Brock, heard on another ESPN show that you weren't a big Christmas guy. I'm not. I mean, I love time with family. I love the Christian holiday, celebrating the birth of our Savior. There's a lot of that I love. The commercial aspect of Christmas, like the fact that everybody feels like they got to go spend a lot of money and get into debt and stress about presents and this and that. And I don't love all the Christmas music that we hear the same songs 10,000 times and all. What I love the celebration of the Christmas season. I love spending time with family. All that stuff I do love. But like, do I need candy canes and snowmen and not really. Hallmark Christmas movies. I don't need any of that. Let's see. Lilo Bertelli, Notre Dame alum here. Sounded like Denbrock wanted to be back home close to Michigan. Leaving LSU was a no dice for me. I was shocked. Hope you guys pick up a good OC. Go Irish and Tigers. Brad David, do you think Napier makes it through next season? I do not, Brad. I don't think he makes it to the end of the season. Cozy Cotters, morning, Matt. Just tuned in. Do you have a few OC you'd like to see? I mentioned 4 on... I said 4 yesterday on the show. Joe Brady, which is a name that as I made calls yesterday, I was told. Joe Sloan, who's on staff presently. I mentioned Tommy Reese, who's currently at Alabama. And Brian Kelly tried to hire here once. And then I mentioned Chip Long as well. Chip Long was Brian Kelly's OC at Notre Dame. So Denbrock left Notre Dame in 2016 And in 2017, Kelly hired Chip Long. And they were pretty consistent. They averaged about 440 yards a game the 3 seasons Chip Long was the OC at Notre Dame. So those are the ones I mentioned. I'm not saying that's the list. There will certainly be more names that come up and more names that are vetted. Those are ones that I think are just obvious that to me that as I first considered it, said like that's where I think where you start. Gulf South, so you say you're LSU, you don't settle, you bring in someone established, but right before you said LSU would have a hard time affording House's buyout, so can they afford an established OC? But remember, what you're forgetting about a buyout is that's money you're basically setting a match to. You're paying House to go away, but then you have to hire a new DC. So you're paying twice. With this, Denbrock's contract goes away. You're not paying Denbrock the rest of his contract. That money's off the books. So the money you had committed to Denbrock, you can now give to a new OC. You were going to pay Denbrock, his deal was 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 over the 3 seasons, and they had just given him a raise that was going to push him to 2. Okay, well, you have $2 million committed. You can find an OC for $2 million. Garrett Riley was the highest paid OC in the country this year at 2.05 at Clemson. So paying for a buyout and hiring a coach are very different things, unless if they're congruent. Like when you paid Ed $17 million to go away and then paid guarantee Brian Kelly nearly $100 million, that was tough. This is different because you have a coach leaving on his own accord, so you're not paying him the remainder of his contract. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. The House buyout would be difficult because you have to raise money to pay a guy to go away, and then you'll still have to pay a new coach. Joseph Baggert, Jake Matern, any truth to Kelly having interest in the New England job? No, but the one that I'll tell you, take this for what it's worth, file it away, whatever you want, do whatever you want with it. If Jim Harbaugh goes back to the NFL and the scuttle is the Chargers, if Harbaugh goes and coaches the Chargers and Michigan is open, if Michigan pursues Brian Kelly, he would leave LSU for Michigan. I am confident in saying that. Brian Kelly would owe LSU I'm looking at it right now. If Brian Kelly left LSU before December 31st of this year, he would owe LSU $3 million. Any point after that, it's $2 million. So basically, if Jim Harbaugh leaves Michigan for the NFL and Michigan says, we want to hire Brian Kelly could get out of his LSU contract for $2 million. And if Michigan offered him the job, he would take it. Cortland, has Notre Dame ever paid that much for an assistant? Seems like they made changes that they refused to make for Kelly just to spite Kelly. I don't know. So let me answer the first part. Notre Dame, as a private school, does not have to disclose coaching salaries. And they don't like to do that. And if you actually go look at their football coaching staff, like on their website, they have their coaching jobs are actually like sponsored. It's really weird. Like they're named after families who have, I'm sure, endowed that, like Notre Dame has like big money. Like Al Golden is the Bob Hinton defensive coordinator. Marcus Freeman is the Dick Corbett head football coach. Gino Giuduli is the Bob and Leslie Moore family quarterbacks coach passing game coordinator. You see what I mean? Like Notre Dame has, like their coaching positions are named after people who've endowed the school. Like it's absurd money. And they don't like to disclose what they spend. So I don't know. with the few calls that I made yesterday, the sense I got is Notre Dame doesn't usually spend like this for assistants, but it also shows how committed they are to giving Marcus Freeman what he needs to succeed. And you could say, well, they weren't able to do that for Brian Kelly. They let Brian Kelly hire Marcus Freeman as his defensive coordinator. I mean, I'm not going to say they didn't give Brian Kelly resources. I also think since Brian Kelly has come to LSU, it is a dramatically different world over the last 2 years. We can all agree on that, right? Just with how much NIL has exploded. It's just different. So, Jude saying, more to Matt, losing faith in Brian Kelly, watching good coaches leave, bad coaches stay, no importance on fundraising and NIL. So all of that is tied. And the tip of the spear is not Brian Kelly. The tip of the spear is LSU's lack of organization around fundraising and NIL. And here's the problem. Because LSU's collective has never been organized, what you have is a lot of boosters. Let's say Gordon. You have a lot of people like Gordon going direct. Gordon isn't giving money to the collective. Gordon is out of his own marketing budget saying, I'm just going to go do deals on my own with athletes, which is totally within his right to do. Kim Mulkey. Kim ain't going to be second in anything. And so Kim has gone and pounded the pavements to get NIL deals for women's basketball. She's not fundraising for the collective. She's trying to get business owners. And I know a lot of them who have done deals with women's basketball players, who Kim takes the meetings in her office because they are allowed to help facilitate, to point opportunities to their student athletes. Jay Johnson. There is, I don't need to name names, but there's, and I'm not just talking about the names that are on the outside of the Champions Club. That's certainly significant. But there are others that are big baseball people that when Jay needs something, he knows who to call. So I think that is part of the problem. And then keep in mind, if people are doing NIL deals, then they're not funding the collective. And if they have a finite amount of money and they're doing NIL deals direct, then that money's not going to TAF. Or if money is going to TAF and they don't want to do NIL deals, then you're not getting extra money for the collective. You see my point? Like, it is. So the second part of that, about the importance of fundraising and NIL, it's not, Jude, that they don't understand the importance of it. It's that LSU hasn't figured out how to have a collaborative approach to fundraising, because you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. TAF needs money to fund scholarships, pay coaches, build facilities. The collective needs money to pay players. The LSU Foundation needs money. All the coaches of individual sports are trying to get their ducks in a row to make sure their sport is taken care of. You see what I mean? Like, LSU Sports Properties, isn't fundraising, but it tries to sell. LSU Sports Properties is what sells sponsorships for the radio broadcasts, for the programs, for the the in-stadium ads that you see everywhere. Like, LSU Sports Properties manages all that. Well, if Gordon's using his marketing budget to do NIL deals, He's not spending money with LSU Sports Properties. Well, I mean, there's another law firm that's the official whatever, but Gordon's blowing them out the water. You know what I mean? Anyway, I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. All right. Lauren Hamilton said, hard to believe money would be an issue at LSU. It is. I'm like, we'll go back to the thing that like, you can, Lauren, you can choose to believe me or not. I just gave you a 5-minute answer to that question that was very thoughtful and detailed. And you can choose to believe that I just made that up, or you can believe that I know that from conversations on a lot of different angles. But whatever. Bo, I'm ready for baseball season. Chili, LSU's in trouble is what it sounds like. Chili, what I'll tell you is what I've continued to say over and over again, which is the benefit LSU has, and will always have, is the dirt. You will always have kids that just want to play at LSU because they're from Louisiana and they just want to play here. They want to play in that. Did you hear my interview with Jordan Gilbert the other day? So Jordan Gilbert's a kid from U High who he's been the past couple years at A&M. He's now transferred back. He's a safety. And I asked him point blank. He said, LSU gave him a committable offer, but Ogeron was fired, and he didn't know he knew Ogeron was going to be fired, and didn't want to go under staff change, didn't know what it would look like, so he went to A&M. But he said, even when he was playing at A&M, watching the LSU defense struggle, it's like it hurt his soul. It's like because it's still his state, and I mean, he was playing at Texas A&M, talking about how much it hurt him to watch LSU's defense struggle. Like, that's the advantage that we all understand as LSU fans who grew up here. Like, for some of these players, it's the same thing. They want to play in Tiger Stadium. They want to rep the purple and gold. So that's the advantage LSU is going to have. It's not going to happen for every kid. Like, you're going to lose players in this state. But there's a lot of them who just want to play at LSU that is going to be able to overcome a lot of those deficiencies. Austin, where was Michigan when we needed them to take less miles off our hands? They tried in 07, man. But for that wackadoo day on the day of the SEC championship game in 07, Les would have been the Michigan coach. Ivan Salazar, let's get Benson family to become boosters of LSU. It would smarter money to spend than millions dumped on Derek Carr. Oh, man. August, go Tigers. That was a great rant, Matt. Thanks, you're the man. Appreciate it. Cortland, is Kelly potentially wanting to go to Michigan a personal thing or a resources thing? Personal. In the same way that your Urban Meyer, as a kid from Ohio, grew up a Notre Dame fan. I know Brian Kelly is from Boston. He's from Everett, Massachusetts, but Boston area. Remember, he coached at Grand Valley. I think you all know this, but he coached at Grand Valley, and it was at Central Michigan. So he spent 20 years in the state of Michigan as a coach. So, he just understands the culture of Michigan, the University of Michigan. I mean, as the guy who spent the bulk of his career, really all of his career in the Midwest, I mean, Michigan is winningest program in the history of college football. So that's all I'm saying is I think everybody has their dream job. It has to be the right scenario for it to happen. So, again, I don't know. I have no idea if Jim Harbaugh is leaving Michigan. And I have no idea if he did, if Michigan would be interested in Brian Kelly. What I am confident in saying is if Jim Harbaugh leaves and Michigan comes calling, Brian Kelly would take the job. That's what I'm confident in saying. But I have no idea about the first two parts of that. Todd Jones said, I hear you're mad, but everybody doesn't want to be in Baton Rouge. Everybody doesn't feel the same way you do. Todd, I'm not saying everybody. I don't know if you're talking to me or if you're replying to someone else's comment. I'm not saying that everybody wants to be in Baton Rouge. And I'm not saying Mike Denbrock made the wrong decision. Like, I'm the one telling you what happened. Anyway, yeah, whatever. David Bass, what's going on? H-Town Creole, stop overthinking it. Returning talent on offense doesn't take a genius to call plays. LSU is all right. Man, that is just not smart. That is just not a smart comment. Like, I don't think... I mean, you would have said the same thing when Aranda left. It's like, look at all the talent you have on defense, and look at what has happened. Even with NFL talent, man, coaching matters, culture can erode, situational ball matters, developing players. And sometimes that erosion is gradual. But I can't imagine anybody, I mean, H-Town Creole, like, you would have said the same thing when they hired Jake Peetz. How did that go? Anyway, let's see. Real Edo. If we lose Kelly, it would be time to hit the panic button. That would set us back 2 to 3 years. I don't know, man. If there were a player exodus that followed, then I would agree. Getting the roster back would be a challenge. But there's a difference, though. There's a difference with a coaching change like when Ed was fired, because your program had eroded for 2 years. You had an exodus of talent. You had back-to-back 500 seasons. You fired the coach. Like, Kelly had to come back in and rebuild the roster, rebuild the culture, and that took, that's what has taken time. But I'm trying to draw a parallel to when Les got fired, because there's this big misconception about. Thanks for hanging out, everybody, by the way. We've been here a while. I know, and still over 300 people watching live on YouTube. Please smash the like button if you would. Shout out to Brock and Hudco. Need an orthopedist, call Brock. Need a roof, give us a shout. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Like, one of the things that I push back against often is the misconception of when Les got fired. There's this feeling like, well, Ed Orgeron inherited a bad situation. No, he didn't. Go look at the 2016 LSU Tigers. The fact that Ed got fired is more of a condemnation. Of Les. It's more of a condemnation of Les Miles than anything, than a compliment to Ed Orgeron turning around a bad situation. I know we've done this exercise before, but remember who your team was in 2016. You had, your running backs were Leonard Fournette, Darius Geis, Darrell Williams. You had 3 NFL running backs. Your receivers were Malachi Dupree, Trayvon Doral, DJ Chark, Russell Gage. Ethan Posick, Will Clapp, Mayate Huma was a 5-star sophomore who started on that team. Think KJ Malone and Joshua Booty maybe were the other starters on the offensive line. Your defensive line, you had Davin Gottschall. You had Christian Lockcher as a 4th-year player at that point. Frank Herron, Greg Gilmore, veteran players. Lewis Neal, Arden Key had an All-American season. Your linebackers that year were Kendall Beckwith, Duke Riley, Deion Jones. Your corners were Tre'Davious White, Dante Jackson. You had Jamal Adams at safety. Like, that team, that team that Ed inherited in 16 was an NFL roster. Hey, you want to take off your backpack? Come see. Take off your backpack. Well, after Dad's show, we'll get dressed and we'll go for a ride in Daddy's car to Daddy's work. What are we going to do at Daddy's work?
Ride the elevator.
Good job. We are going to ride the elevator.
And
then we'd go car wash. We'll go to the car wash with Daddy. Ride around past by what? Vendors General, then we'll go to the car wash. Okay.
And
You go to Drew's house? All right, we'll see you later. Anyway, so, man, I know it's Saturday. I guess we can kind of just ramble a bit if we want. We've been here for more than an hour. But I guess my point is, to the person who said if Kelly leaves, it would set you back 2 to 3 years. I don't necessarily agree. Because I think he's built the roster, he's built the culture, all that stuff. I think the question would be if he left. And again, that's super hypothetical, of course. And for those just joining us wondering what the heck we're talking about, what I've said is, if Jim, there is some scuttle about Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan for the Chargers. If Jim Harbaugh leaves Michigan for the Chargers, and again, Michigan just got hit with an NOA, and there could be sanctions coming there, blah, 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 blah. If Harbaugh leaves the Chargers, and Michigan comes calling for Brian Kelly, I don't know that they would, that he would take the job. I don't know if Harbaugh's leaving, and I don't know if Michigan would have interest in Brian Kelly. Aaron McKenzie, Matt, you're an awesome dad, bro. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. Very kind. Best job in the world. Reagan Lee, if Kelly leaves, who would be your top pick? Mine would be Lanning and Kiffin. I don't think you're getting Lanning away from Oregon. I think you could get Kiffin, but I think my guess, this is a guess, my guess is that Lane will replace Nick at Alabama. I think Lane or Dion will replace Nick at Alabama because they're on the short list of coaches that would actually want to follow Nick Saban. Bo said, I still shiver when I hear Duke Riley. Dude laid me out on a kickoff my junior year. Brent Chisholm, these days there has to be succession planning for coaching departures. It is going to happen, part of the modern dynamics. Yeah, Brett, and make no mistake, man, every athletic director has their blue book. They've got their bleep plan. If the coach leaves, here's my list. Every coach has a list of candidates for if my assistant leaves, here's the people that I'm interested in, sort of thing. Cortland, H-Town Kelly was a linebacker who initially coached defense, but then was thrown into an offensive role long ago. Been on that side of the ball since, has experience. Oh, I don't know what he's talking about. Oh, about Kelly. Pay Kiffin $12 million, call it a day. Wilkes said, did Brian Kelly say LSU was his last stop? He did. He did. Coaches lie. Or coaches speak in absolutes with the best intentions and then circumstances change. We'll see. Again, I'm not telling you that he's leaving. Again, there's a lot about that I don't know. What I am willing to say is that if Michigan is open and Michigan comes calling for Brian Kelly, that I believe he would take the job. Okay. Make defense great again. I knew Pete's was going to be bad when I first heard him speak. The whistling through his teeth when he spoke drove me nuts. I don't even remember that. Oh, man. Under Kelly, isn't an OC bound to run his offense that will likely impact candidates you can get. I think that's part of the reason also with Denbrock. You know, you go to Notre Dame where you have a defensive-minded head coach. You have full autonomy on the offense. Craig Carter. What are your thoughts on House taking the OC job? It seems when he's coaching a unit on the field, points are scored. Oh, well done. Well done. Oh, man, that's funny. It's funny. That's a good point. Ken Johnson said that's like saying Matt Canada calls plays. He has as good a scheme as Lane Kiffin. That's a good point, right? That's to the point that someone made a bit ago saying, you know, calling plays doesn't matter. You have talent. That's a great point. Yes, if you make the wrong hire, it can go badly. All right. I think it was route concepts. Steve said, how do you feel about Joe Sloan as OC? We did talk about that at the beginning of the show. I think Joe has a lot of upside. Joe's a whiskey guy as well, so I respect that. I think he is the prototypical young ascending coach. He just made 37 in December the 6th, incidentally. That was the day Denbrock agreed to his new deal. But Sloan just made 37. He spent 9 years. He was at USF, like quality control. Then got a position coach job. Then went to Tech as a position coach with Skip Holtz, and then was promoted to co-OC in 2019. Then OC in 2020, 2021. Came to LSU as quarterbacks coach. They went, G5 position to G5 OC to Power 5 position coach. And now he's going to be looking to get an OC job and then a head coaching job. He is looking for that upward trajectory, and he should. And he may do an awesome job. For me, I always look and go, do you take, because you're LSU, and I'm not saying this is right, because this is just a matter of opinion. I mean, it's really, do you trust your coaches to make good hires? I just look at LSU and I say, you're LSU, why take the risk? Hire someone that's proven. It's the Scott Woodward approach. Minimize risk. There is no way to completely eliminate risk in coaching hires. The only coaching hires that would be completely risk-free are Nick Saban, Urban Meyer. That's it. That's the list. You hire those guys, you're going to win. But do you do you hire a coach that's a proven commodity as a Power 5 play caller? I think that's more the approach that I would take, as opposed to, hey, let's take a shot and see if it works. Because if it doesn't, then you've set yourself back. It was what Les did in 08 with the co-DCs with Pivotal and Mallory. And then what happened? He ran those guys out after 1 year. He brought in John Chavis, who was established, and he reestablished LSU. Yeah, that great one. WU Poppy 39, Kelly versus Napier. Kelly was a proven Power 5 head coach. Napier had success at G5 and was looking to take the big step. Look at through 2 years, who has had more success, who's more established, Napier at Florida or Kelly at LSU. I mean, it's obvious. Reagan Lee still looking at Raymond and Davis to join the staff. Yes. I think, I told y'all nothing was going to happen until after the early signing period. I think you may see stuff after the bowl game. And I think you will see another wave after the February signing date, which also sort of coincides with, the end of the NFL season, the Super Bowl, and all. So I think you may have a wave there as well of staff changes. But Davis is Bo Davis. And remember your defensive, we've talked about Corey Raymond here for a while, and I've told y'all, and I'll say it again. I know for a fact that Corey Raymond wants to come back to LSU. He has had that conversation with people at LSU, and there are people at LSU that have lobbied on his behalf. And I think Brian Kelly is very interested in bringing Corey Raymond back. And now here's my opinion. Okay, so that's what I know. Now here's my opinion. So that's what I know. Now here's my opinion. My opinion is it will get done. My opinion is Corey Raymond will be on LSU staff next year. That's an opinion, okay? Because until it's signed, dotted line, all it ain't done. But that's my opinion. I know for a fact there are people internally at LSU that are pushing very hard to bring Bo Davis back. Remember, LSU hired Jimmy Lindsey. He had a medical episode. He's not been coaching on the field. He's had a great recovery, as I understand it, and wants to return to the field. John Jancic moved in from the outside linebackers role to coach defensive line. They brought in Pete Jenkins to assist him. I believe there are definitely people internally who want to bring Bo Davis back to LSU. He is at Texas right now. Texas is in the college football playoff. None of that would happen until after the college football playoff. So, does Bo Davis want to come back? Is that how much of a possibility is that? I don't know. But I know that is a thing that is lingering. Ryan Callie, what are Otter's locks today? I don't know about Otter. I have all this stuff right here. So here's the only NFL bet today is half of a teaser. So Randy McKay gave a teaser, an 8.5 point teaser, Pittsburgh and Cleveland. So Pitt and Cleveland plus 8.5. But that Cleveland line is flipped. Cleveland was +3. Now they're -3. So that you're going to have to. That's I don't know what to do there. If you want to go 6-point teaser with Cleveland at this point, it's gonna cost you a lot. But anyway, the Cleveland half of that is the only game today. I'll ask Otter if he's got anything else on the other games. There's a bunch of college today. Let's see. Phil Steele has Eastern Michigan, Utah State, UNLV, San Jose State, although I don't think the UNLV game is today. The three that Phil gave that are today are Eastern Michigan, Utah State, San Jose State. And Bruce Marshall on Jimmy's show gave Troy, Air Force, San Jose State, and then, oh, golly, the other college football handicapper, I forgot. God dog it. The guy's really good. I forgot. I'm blanking on his name. Anyway, gave Northwestern today. Northwestern plus 6.5. So that's what I'm on today. I'm on Eastern Michigan, Utah State, San Jose State, Troy, Air Force, Northwestern. Those are my college plays today. And then do what you will with the season. I'll see if the Otters got other picks for the NFL today. Gulf South, has Brian Kelly ever talked to Raymond personally? If he has, it has been in the last what's the date? In the last 3 weeks. If he has, it's been in the last 3 weeks. I know they never spoke when Kelly was hired. There were a lot of staff members from the old staff that were not even granted an interview. They were just relieved of their duties. Corey Raymond was one of them. Like, they never spoke. This is going to sound odd. I know this is going to sound odd. I'm going to say this, but I'm telling you, like, I know this is going to sound odd. I don't know that Brian Kelly even knew Corey Raymond was on staff. And you could roll your eyes, and that's going to sound odd, but there was a conversation relayed to me secondhand, okay? So it was a conversation that was relayed to me. I don't believe Brian Kelly even knew who Corey Raymond was or that he was on staff when Kelly got the job. I think he was bringing Kerry Cooks with him from Notre Dame, and then they hired Steeples. He was 1 year in the NFL as a high school coach, from St. Louis. They 1 year in the NFL, and they brought him in because they were recruiting Mac Markway out of D. Cemet in St. Louis and Mekhi Wingo, and so. I genuinely don't even believe Kelly knew who Corey Raymond was or that he was on staff. But since the secondary was so atrocious and people within the program and within the athletic department started talking to him about Corey being in Florida, I think it was sort of like, oh, he was here? That sort of thing. So I think that's going to get done. I do. That's an opinion, but I think that's going to get done. So to your question, have they spoken? If they have, they've spoken in the last, since the season ended. I mean, maybe they exchanged pleasantries on the field before the LSU Florida game this year. But that would have been. I know Corey talked to a lot of the LSU. I mean, look, he's familiar with a lot of people at LSU still. And so before that game, you have a lot of those pleasantries on. So there might have been that kind of interaction. How long is Pete Jenkins staying on staff for? I'll call Coach Pete and ask. I don't think the plan is to have Coach Pete back next year. I don't think Coach Pete wants to be back. It's not that he doesn't want to be back. Coach Pete's retired. He's 83 years old. I mean, he lives in Destin, and he still got a spot here, but he spends the springtime traveling all over to go do his 2-week consulting sessions with Bama and Georgia, and I mean, went to Oregon with Dan Lanning this year, and Oklahoma. I mean, he goes all over the place, and they bring him in to work with their coaches and to teach for 2 weeks, and he gets paid nicely to do it, and he spends the rest of his time in Destin. I don't think he wants to be part of a day-to-day grind in a college football program. So I don't think there's a plan. I think the plan is to hire a defensive line coach and roll. Michael Gallman, good morning. Brantley Abear, Matt, do you think LSU should start Garrett as quarterback? And do you think he has gotten better over the years? Brantley, I mean, yes. I mean, they're rolling with him. I mean, he's your number one guy. Now, if he struggles, that's why you're bringing in AJ Swan. I'm not saying AJ Swan's going to be a better option, but it's why you brought in that safety net. Ashley Megan, good morning. Yes, Corey Raymond, if for no other reason than recruiting. I mean, I think that is the single biggest reason. I don't think people really understand how much those guys, those corners, those guys in the secondary came to play for Corey. So yes, you want to get talent in the secondary again, Corey will fix that. Rex, is it fair to assume LSU left it open because they weren't dialed in enough or straight negligence? You're talking about Denbrock. I don't know that I can answer that. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Let's see, Gulf South. That's pretty surprising. It's on Woodward for not letting Brian Kelly know one of the top DB coaches was already on staff. You know, I think when you hire Brian, context matters, man. Like, remember where LSU was, right? You pay Ed all this money to go away. You go through this coaching search. Everybody thinks they're getting Lincoln Riley. It doesn't work out. Then boom, here comes Brian Kelly. So they work this deal. They pay him a whole bunch of money. Like, you got to get him to leave Notre Dame where he's been for so long. And I don't think you're dictating terms to him. You know, you're giving a coach autonomy to build his staff and do all that stuff. And, you know, Brian Kelly was bringing Kerry Cooks with him from South Bend. You know, he brought Polian and Cooks, and he brought in Denbrock. And, like, you give a coach autonomy to hire their staff. So, you know, there's one time I remember it didn't go that way, and that was in 2005 when Les got hired. And, you know, Jimbo wanted the head coaching job. And this, by the way, Skip has told this story on air. So that I am relating a story that Skip Bertman has told. I have heard him tell it firsthand on air. Jimbo wanted the job. They didn't feel like he was ready. They gave him the interview for the head coaching after Nick left. But they went with Les, and they told Les, you have to retain Jimbo. That was part of the deal. Like, you do not get to hire your offensive coordinator. We have an offensive coordinator. Jimbo Fisher is staying. And Jimbo and Les butted heads, like famously butted heads. And that's when Jimbo, of course, became the coach in waiting at Florida State, left, and then, you know, became the head coach there eventually. But it is super rare that an athletic director dictates terms of a staff or members of a staff to a coach. You typically give them autonomy, especially if you're going to pay him $100 million. Cajun country, we can't be like Notre Dame fans. Wish Mike Denbrock the best. Be thankful he's not in the SEC. Ashley Megan, how badly was the Chavis Bridge burned? Torched or small fire that he wouldn't, torched or small fire that wouldn't matter because new staff and new administration was Woodward at Aggie when he went. I'm sorry, Ashley, are you asking, like, would Chavis come back? I don't think there's an interest there. I think John's retired. Last I heard he was coaching maybe high school in Tennessee just as a, you know, just as a thing to do. But, you know, the thing about Chavis is I think when John got hired here, that saved Les. The co-DC thing in 2008 was a disaster, and Chavis's defense was great in 9, 10, 11, 12, and then it started to erode in 13 and 14, and then he left for A&M. But the thing about Chavis is I think John was a perfect complement to Les and the style of offense Les ran. Because LSU was ball control, ground and pound, short in the game, the LSU defense was out on the field for 60 plays a game. Chavis leaves LSU, goes to A&M, whereas with Kevin Sumlin, where they're spread it out and go, and now all of a sudden his defense is on the field for 85 plays a game. Well, when your defense is on the field for 20 more plays a game at an average of 4 yards a play, now your defense that was allowing 320 a game is allowing 400 a game, right? So, I think it was just, I don't think John Chavis forgot how to coach defense or anything like that. I think it was just what he wanted to do stylistically paired so well with Les. And when he went to coach, like, it's like Aranda. I mean, Aranda didn't forget how to be a great defensive coordinator. It's just when your defense is on the field for 80 plays a game, because your offense is scoring 50 and they're going fast and scoring quickly, like, you're going to be on the field longer. You're going to give up more yards and points. It's just how it goes. You have to play a complementary style to each other. Let's see. And the question about Woodward being so Chavis, if you remember, A&M tampered with John Chavis. That was at the end of 2014, like when LSU was getting ready for the Music City Bowl against Notre Dame. So 15 was Chavis's first season. 15 was Chavis's first season at A&M. Woodward didn't get to A&M until 16. So that was the previous AD that hired Chavis away from LSU. Long live Stanka 24. Oh wait, there it is. That's negligence that no one told him about Corey Raymond when he came. Ivan Salazar, it's not Woodward's job to get LSU's collective, or is it not Woodward's job to get LSU's collective organized? Remember, collectives operate independently of the university. So it's not like you necessarily hire someone internally to run your collective. But yeah, I think it's fair to say that they got to get some organization around this thing. And look, the thing about Scott, nobody ever see if you go to the right places in town, you see Scott every day. But Scott goes to those places because it's where the people who control the money spend their time every day. And Scott can have those conversations. I just thought of something. I'll follow up on it later. Was Denbrock play calling, or was it Jaden's athletic ability that made the offense so good? Both. There are people who downplay Denbrock because Jaden was so good. I think it's true that great players sometimes make play callers look great, but I also think great play callers put great players in positions to make plays. And the other thing too is, if you remember, this isn't an outlier for Mike Denbrock. Go look at his teams at Cincinnati when he was the OC. When he got there, they were very bad. They were near triple digits and everything. His first year, they were very bad. By the time he left Cincinnati, that team with Desmond Ridder, they were top 10 in every statistical category in the country. That was at Cincinnati with Desmond Ridder, who stinks, by the way. So he's got a long track record of doing it at a high level. And his ability to relate to his players. He's like a dad, man. Like, players love him and respond to him. And if you ever have a conversation with Mike Denbrock, you would understand it. Like, you're like, I get why people love that dude. Like, there's a sincerity and a genuineness that is very paternal. It's like your dad that loves you and wants what's best for you and is going to help you and nourish you. And when it's got to be tough, it's going to be tough. But it's rooted in love. And if he yells at you, then he's going to come back and put his arm around you and tell you he loves you. It's that kind of relationship. Like, so there's that the personal relationship side of things is why players love him and play for him and all that sort of stuff. And then, yes, he's a really brilliant offensive mind, too. All right, y'all. Let's see. Golf South game coin topic. I tried to buy more a few months ago. All my debit credit transactions kept getting declined. Banks hate crypto, go figure. You don't need crypto-friendly banks or have a suggestion. Golf Sally, what you need to do is you need to call your bank before you try to make the transaction and have them approve it from that. And I'm guessing you used a, centralized exchange to try to buy Binance to then use a DEX to swap. But, so for example, like you could go to Coinbase or crypto.com and alert your bank of a transaction to deposit fiat currency into one of those platforms. And then you could buy your Binance coin, and then you could go through the process of swapping on Pancake Swap through the website. I don't know if that makes sense. It sounds like you're pretty savvy with the way you asked the question, so I hope that makes sense. But if you do need help, let me know. But my suggestion is call your bank and alert them that you're trying to make this transaction, and they can set up they can allow the transaction to that source, because they'll be notified of whatever it is blocking, and on their end they can allow it. All right, I think it might be just about done, y'all. Been here for like an hour and a half. It's 11:30. Ooh, it's 11:30. Oh God, that game's starting already, y'all. All right, Ashley, Megan, I hope all those recruits who signed the day before don't feel burned. It's the age-old thing. Commit to the school, not the coach. But it's also why I am very much okay with players being allowed to transfer when coaches leave. So, all right, we're done. Thanks so much for being here, y'all. Do me a favor, please smash that like button. Appreciate everybody for hanging on, man. Over 300 people still watching live. Please smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe up to the channel. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. Y'all have an awesome Saturday. We'll be back here tomorrow for Christmas Eve. We're looking forward to that. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the football. I'm going to get Drew changed. We go ride elevators and do all that fun stuff. So, y'all have a good one. Peace.